All right. I went off Wi-Fi. Works now. Well, my hair's a little out of place. How do you like that? All right. Well, here it is Friday. We call it Open Line Friday. And the idea of Open Line Friday is that you all can pick the subjects that we want to talk about. So we can talk about, we can do, I can answer questions, but if you want to talk about a certain subject, tonight would be the night to do that. And usually I pick the subject, but on Friday we like to leave it open so other people can pick the subject. I could definitely continue to talk about regenerative agriculture. I tell you, it's one of those things when you teach something and you're trying to get a point across, it really cements it in your own mind. And when I'm going about the things that I have to do, or I get to do, I shouldn't say have to do, I start to realize, hey, look, this process is part of the regenerative system. It works for the overall good of this operation, And so my day today, let's see. Where was I today? It was raining this morning. And I had, excuse me there. I had to do several things. Right off, I didn't have any firewood at the house. And, but usually by May, the middle of May, we're not needing to keep the fire going like all the time, maybe not at all. We might just be not burning the fire at all. So this morning got up and it was cold. It was probably 34 outside. And I don't think I had a fire going last night, or not a very good one. It probably was waning by the time I went to bed, and I just didn't feel the need to put any more. Plus, I didn't have any more wood. And here it is, 11 o'clock, and it's like, I'm going to walk over and get an armload of wood. Nah, I don't think so. I'll worry about it in the morning, is what my attitude was. Now, if it's wintertime, that would have been different. I probably wouldn't have run out, but I'm kind of lackadaisical about it now because, winter's pretty well over. But it's a really nice thing when you get a cold morning like this and you kind of think you're out of the woods as far as cold weather goes, and it's not. And you can just walk the wood to the stove, fire that baby up as much as you want, open the doors, heat the entire house up, and it's a couple of logs. It's not really, it's not a great expense, but I would feel like, okay, I've got this much oil left, and I'd sure like to have a little in reserve, and I don't want it to run out because I don't want to, when you're burning oil, it just seems like you can. I must be cheap, but I don't want to do that until I can't run a chainsaw, I guess. And I'm about one bucket load away from no wood at all. Yeah, we went through everything that we put up last year, which is good. I mean, I think we heated the house this year for about $300. That's usually about what it is. A lot of the wood that I get, I scrounge it, when I see it and it's just deadfall, I'll grab it. And then I had a bunch of log length wood that I bought a semi-load 3 years ago, and I just finished that up. I got another semi-load out there now that I bought green last fall. And when you buy it green, I don't know, we're not talking about cutting wood, but if you buy green wood, right, so it was cut recently, it's not gonna, hey Luann, how you doing? I'm gonna read that in a minute. I didn't read anything last night, you guys. I didn't have my glasses here, and Jill had something going on, so I know there was a lot of chatter, and I missed a whole lot of it. And Jack is with us, and Adeline. Okay, welcome. But I buy green wood, and it's something to think about because it's a lot less expensive. And when you're cutting green wood, it's really easy on your chainsaw. Your chain will chip through it a lot better. So it's just something to think about. And it smells good when you're cutting it. And then if I get it stacked up, like we'll start cutting wood here, shortly when we are having a break in the action, and we'll need something to do to keep young people going. You'll say, well, why don't you guys go and cut some wood. So it'll start happening here soon. I said this morning at breakfast, I got a great idea, you guys. They said, what? Because it's Friday and they're thinking, I like to do fun things on Friday. I said, hey, why don't we get ahead on cutting firewood for the year? Wouldn't that be fun? And I do that to my kids all the time. I torment them. Okay, so I did that, and then I had to feed the animals, and it was raining. It was raining pretty good, and it was very cold. So I had to get my rain gear on this morning and do most of my chores this morning in the rain, which is a nice change. I've made a couple of videos now that I said, hey, spring, it's right around the corner. It's right around the corner. And then today I had my winter jacket on all day with my hood up. Yeah, it was pretty cold. I had gloves on today, actually. So when it's like this and it's that cold, windy, blustery, yeah, it's not quite there yet, but spring, I mean, all this rain that we're getting now is going to really make things nice when we do get 4 or 5 days of nice sunny weather. I turned my compost pile, actually turned it twice today because it's at that point where it's really making a lot of heat, and I don't want to leave that. I want to get it finished. And so I did that, made a lot of steam, had a good time doing that. Moved some things around, cleaned some things up, made a pile of kindling wood. Me and my kids did. Had a conversation on the phone too, and if I could, I would like to discuss a couple of things and see if you all are having similar thoughts. All right, because this situation that we're in as a country right now, do not underestimate it. Do not underestimate it. The other night we talked about, with the resistance chicks, we talked about, the victory line. I mean, we could see it, right? We're going to restore the republic and live happily ever after. Not so fast. We're in a very dynamic situation, and the other side, a lot of them are Americans, they want different things than what we want. And for the first time in my life, for a long time, I'm not in the thick of it. I'm an observer. I'm a civilian now. I am not a combatant in any way at this point, and I am just observing. And it just so happens we get together once in a while, and we get to share things, right? So I've been struggling with the notion that we got this. I've been struggling with that because that's no way to win a game. It's no way to win a war. It's no game of checkers. That is no way to proceed. As you know, I watch a lot of history, and sometimes I watch the History Channel type things, but a lot of times I prefer to listen to personal testimonies of 90-year-old guys. They got no reason to deceive me, and I listen to lots of them, and I hear consistencies, and that's where I draw my conclusions about where we're at, what the world is all about. You you hear one guy tell a story and you hear another, and if there's a place where there's a cross in the stories, a commonality, it's like that is a point that we should look at. And, having been military, I enjoy those stories too, because, tough times are some of the best times. They were really some of the best times of my life, is when things got ugly and tough, and, I was pushed outside of my comfort zone. So it's a good thing to learn, and I wasn't pushed outside of my comfort zone as much as some people in the military are. I could have been, but it wasn't required of me at the time. So I just want to bring something to our attention. Okay, there's something going on, and the other night our conversation got thrown out. I think it was our Friday night conversation that got thrown out because we were talking about this thing that would like to talk about right now. Imagine that, we're on a platform where we have the right to free speech, but this platform says, yeah, but you're not going to talk about that. So that means that they are invested in the status quo. They're invested in the status quo. I am not invested in the status quo. I'm invested in the truth, right? I'm invested in the truth. But what is my investment? What is my investment really? It's peace of mind. It's just being me and being comfortable where I am and what I am. That's my peace of mind. I don't gain anything from it. I told you last night, we haven't had a super chat on here in a month. And I don't think it's because it's changed. It's because I'm being spanked by YouTube. They're somehow not allowing it. At least I don't see it. Or maybe you guys just don't want to do it anymore. I never asked for it in the first place, but people kind of did it. And it's kind of nice, I mean, that's not why I do this, but, and I will continue to do it if it doesn't happen and you guys just, don't want to do it. That's fine. Because that's not why I'm doing it. That is not why I'm doing it. So I'm invested in the truth because that's what I'm about. And the truth helps you to understand, the truth is like a key. It fits into, you have this scenario, and this doesn't make sense. You plug a piece of truth in there and it'll turn it, and all of a sudden, oh, that's what happened. Okay, well, that makes sense, right? And we've had stuff like that happen recently in this community with people getting sick and dying and things like that, and then come to find out that they made a decision to get a poke, and that's what hurt them. And of course, when you consider one of those facilities you go to when you're sick, are they invested in the truth? I mean, if you're a doctor and you raise your hand and you say, well, this guy didn't let her making that poke to give you. See, so they're not invested in the truth. They're actually invested because of their profession, not telling the truth. And I hate to say that. And I'm not putting them all in a box. There's one guy here that I happen to know pretty good, and he is totally anti. I'm not going to use the word because that's how they get you. But that whole situation sort of makes the situation that we talked about with resistance chicks and the Maricopa County vote and the Michigan vote and all that stuff. It almost makes it, in my mind at this point, I could be wrong, but I think at this point it almost makes it a moot point, because from uh, that, you know, bat flu came into the country, I was like, I don't, this smells like BS to me. And it just did. I mean, I've seen it so long. I know how they move. It was way too organized. It was organized throughout the world. Every everything dropped in place. There was like a script, and usually what they do is they create a problem. Create a problem. You know, let's uh, let's have a terrorist attack, and then, oh, okay, well, to deal with this problem, we need to make some new protocols. We need to, you know, this constitution that you're always talking about, Mark. It's a really good thing, but makes it really hard to find terrorists. So we need to kind of throttle back on that constitution stuff so we can catch these terrorists that are flying airplanes into buildings. Well, I think what happened here was the Wu flu was a thing, and I think it was bio W. I do. But I think the worst thing is the antidote. I think that's worse. Um, I got a hold of a video today that was made on the 22nd of April. So not too long ago. I wish I'd seen it sooner. But it outlined, it was a panel of doctors. And I'm going, hold on a sec. When Jill comes in, I'm going to ask her to write it here. That will be a better way to do it. And then you can look at it and you can make the decision for yourself. It's on Vimeo, right? So on YouTube as far as that goes. And you know, can't I share that on my Facebook page? What is it about this content that you guys are so freaked out about? And so I believe that the cure is roll that out thing. It really makes me antidote is and I heard about this probably 2 weeks ago, but I wasn't hearing an aggregation. I just heard it today. And the people who were on this panel, you can't say their names even. But when you tune into this, you will recognize every one of the names through so far, because everybody to discern they're telling you the truth. And she said, well, yeah, that goes against the behemoth of big, you know what. Yeah, we lost everybody. We're down to 5 people. Amazing. There I am. We lost everybody. Wow, everything that I just said was probably not heard. Jill said I was buffering. All right, could somebody tell me where I left off? Does anybody know? I thought it was pretty good information. It's sensitive information for sure, but I can't not pass this on to you. I have to pass this on. But you're here. Always taking flack when you're over the target. Yeah. I wonder if people know what that means. Coastal said that we use a lot of terms, and I wonder if people even know what flack is. All right. Fair enough. That's what I wanted to pass on. I hope I got the message across. And now it is Open Line Friday. I have actually my prepping my prepping has gone to the stage within my family. All right, I was talking. Okay, I know where I was then. Um, all right, so we are we are to be true to ourselves. We have to be invested in the truth, and that might be one reason why we're going to be true to ourselves. That might be one reason. I think there's several reasons why you're going to talk about the truth. And when something comes up that's an unpleasant situation, well, it's the truth and it has to get out. All right. So throughout this operation with the bat flu stew and all of that, early on, way back a year ago, and when we were getting together, I was like, I don't know. It smells like BS to me. I don't know. I just didn't buy into it. I said, but we still need to prepare, right? Because they're doing something. And then when you think it through, it's like, well, why would they do this on purpose? Well, look at where we are now. Who benefits from where we are in a year? Has someone benefited? The people have become weaker and are that weird sector of people who seeks government positions. Not all of them. I'm not saying the government is evil. No, there are evil people who that's where they go. Evil people don't say, I'm going to grow vegetables. They don't do that. They seek a place where they can do things. All right, well, there you go. Super chat's working. Thank you, Fuego. I know who that is. But they seek a place where they can have, they try to have dominion over us, right? That's what they try to do, dominion. And they use special weapons and tactics to do that. And usually they fool us, right? Usually that's how they fool us. They make us think. What they've done, I think, with this poke thing that they're asking you to get 24/7, some people think that they're even going to mandate that. Who knows how many people have got it, because you cannot trust the people who are taking the tally. I think what they're going to want to do in this case is, well, 100 million people have got it. The rest of you 250 million or 200 million, you might as well get it too. I think that's what they're trying to do. When it might be far less. It may be 750,000 that have done it. But I am going to ask Jill if she will get me that video that I watched today. It was on Vimeo, and I'm going to put it up there so you guys can watch, because I thought it was kind of a game changer. The things that we talked about with the resistance chicks the other night is almost like we're getting kind of cocky. It's like, hey, we got General Flynn, we got Lynn Wood, we got Sidney Powell, we got President Trump down there in Margaret, and we're starting to get cocky when they could have already hit us with the bioweapon, the true bioweapon, and that is the poke in the arm. And sort of like Jamestown, I said, drinking the Kool-Aid at Jamestown, it's sort of the same. You had people standing in line to take that Kool-Aid, and then they were convinced by Jonestown, right? Not Jamestown. Jim Jones, they convinced that it was their ticket to freedom, right? And yet they took the drink of the Kool-Aid, they went and laid down and died. And what we're seeing right now in the United States, by CDC's numbers, is 3,000 people have died just from taking the antidote to the Wu flu. They've died. And then the number of people who have been injured is way up there. We don't even know We don't even know. So, is it gone too far? You know, is there any bringing it back? What I heard today is people that are taking that antidote and they are walking around transmitting that. And so we can be infected by them. That's what I heard today. That's what I heard. And I'm hearing it a lot. I heard it a lot today. All right. I told you that I forwarded this video to my 15-year-old daughter, and I said, you need to listen to this. And then I sat with her after she listened to it, and I said, are you able to, Adeline, shedding, it's either shedding or transmitting. If it's shedding, it's a sort of a byproduct and just a inconsequential collateral damage. But if it's transmitting, that would be more consistent with a bioweapon that is designed to hurt a lot of people. And this is nothing new. This is nothing new. And the United States has engaged in things like this before. We were engaged in a horrible battle with the Japanese Imperial military, Navy as well, and they were formidable, and they had an idea about warfare that Americans didn't have. Americans wanted to get this sucker over with, and then get home, and then get that nice new, 46 Chevrolet at the time, and get on with life. The Japanese weren't like that. They wanted to win or die, and a good number of them did commit suicide at the end. So it was a terrible, terrible battle. And the United States had to show the emperor that, hey, we want you to stand your people down on all these islands. And the emperor said no. So what did we do? Dropped a nuclear weapon on a civilian population. We didn't do it once, we did it twice. So is this antidote that nuclear weapon against civilian population? Seems like it. Feels like it to me. Feels like it to me. Because the people who manufacture it are saying, well, this ain't going to keep you from getting a Wu flu. And it's not going to keep you from transmitting it. And you still got to wear your mask and social distance. But you're going to feel so free. That sounds an awful lot like Jonestown to me. It sounds like they're drinking the Kool-Aid to me. That's what it sounds like. So that is kind of my opinion. And so where does that leave us as small farmers, intentional livers, homesteaders? Where does that leave us? Did that just up the game? If something like, let's say the struggle that we were in right now was with another country, let's say, and all of a sudden, Falmouth, Michigan got strafed. Strafing means when an aircraft flies over and it fires some type of weapon, a repeating, machine gun or cannon or something like that. It wouldn't be a rocket strafing, that would be a rocketing attack. But if that happened, well, I would be sitting here talking about, hey, you know what you need to do? If these guys are using 20 millimeter, and to get away from 20 millimeter, you're going to have to be through this much. You're going to have to be down under this much stuff. That's what I would be briefing you on. But that is not what's happening. What's happening is a bioweapon, in my opinion, has been unleashed. Can I get in trouble for saying this? Maybe. I mean, what are they going to do? Take my channel away? I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that. There's kind of a feeling, right? The other night when we were talking with the resistance chicks, I was agreeing with them that the battle is already won. I do believe that good will triumph over evil. But that doesn't mean that I believe there's not going to be some collateral damage along the way. I believe there will be collateral damage along the way, and I believe there already has been collateral damage. But we can't assume because we're part of the civilian population that we can just kind of just keep going as we're going. We have to think about it, and we have to put in place measures to, to keep ourselves as safe as we can. Now, I briefed my family today. I know I'm not going to live forever. That's not the point. But I would like to stay alive long enough to see you guys through to adulthood, and then do what I can when I'm called upon. But I'm not trying to preserve my life just so I can live, just so I can eat another day, just so I can, that's not it. I do enjoy life. I do enjoy what I'm doing. But I think the attitude, sort of like the mindset that we talked about last couple nights, the mindset that I have adopted is that of a warrior. You are already dead. So you may have a little bit more gravy to suck up off the plate, but it's already over. And we didn't plan to live forever anyway. So it's not like we lose if we die. It's because I don't really believe that this is the end. I believe that we are stewards here to do a job, and I believe we're an eternal being. And I can't really tell you why I believe that so well, but I was pretty close to my parents. I was pretty close to others, and I don't see them as non-existent. They're existent, but I just can't see them. I just don't live where they live. So I don't know. That's what I stand on, and that's my instinct in this whole thing. But this video that I watched today, it was a panel of doctors, and you have to discern whether you want to believe what they're saying. But they're saying that you need to isolate yourself from people who have done this, have taken this so-called antidote, and then they give a couple of precautions that you can take, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it because we are exposed to people who have said, okay, well, I want to live at all costs, so go ahead, give me this experimental thing. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Hey, Jill, could I get the that video that we watched today with those doctors on it, that's on Vimeo? Could you possibly write that here and the address so people can find that? Or can it go in the show notes?
Yeah.
Without any problems? Folks, I highly recommend that you watch this. And, keep in mind, this is not about fear. This is about precaution. I don't think that there's really anything to fear. Because if like I had a couple of buddies that wound up getting sick and dying. Well, I don't think they're hurting now. I don't think they're having trouble breathing now. So they're released from this. And if that happens, it happens. I mean, we kind of want to see our kids through, all these things, a couple more sunsets and all that stuff. Yeah, sure, why not? This is a great life we've been given. But I recommend people listen to this because it opens up another facet, right? So it's like farming, I think. A lot of times we have a very good, clear picture of what we need to do and how we need to do it. And then we get a storm. Now what? I've got hay on the ground and I haven't got it raked or baled or anything. Okay, now what do? So I have to bob and weave a little bit and, move. It's a dynamic situation that we're in. It isn't, the other night, I think we may have put the message across that, hey, we got this, man. We got this. President Trump's going to be back in office. They're going to restore the republic. They're going to put Washington, D.C. underwater. They're going to be filling up Guantanamo Bay with all the scumbags that have been really wreaking havoc on our republic here for about 100 years. And we're going to return to a systemic good American lifestyle. And I tell you, Americans are good people. They're really good people. Their biggest problem is their naivete. They are naive because you live in a place where it's relatively safe, relatively prosperous. I mean, compared to go to the Philippine Islands and see how it is. And so we think everybody's our friends. We think, the world's great. I get big time lib friends that live in Traverse City. They get bent out of shape when they see the U.S. Navy flying on 4th of July in a demonstration mode. And I try to tell them, if they're not flying in your skies, somebody else is. They're there to demonstrate to you and them that we have a far superior fighting force. So back off. And we've been doing that for a while, and a lot of people don't understand that there's some bad people out there in the world. Countries that are just bad. I mean, if they could rip us off, they would, and the whole thing with the voting and all that stuff, it was all bad, and I hope it's going to change. But okay, that's enough of me talking. I got that message out. I was concerned that I wouldn't have a chance to get it out, but I did. And I'm ready to talk about your guys' stuff. We're in, half hour or a little more. Okay, so what do we want to talk about here? I'm going to go back to the beginning. And let's see if there's anything that you guys want to talk about. I'm all the way to the beginning. Happy Friday. Crunchy Mama's with us. 34. This is morning 2 here in TC. Did you get my email? Yeah, with the newest 107 Michael Jaco conversation. I sure did. And I'm almost all the way through it. And that did temper my feelings as far as where we are at. If you guys haven't heard of either of these two individuals, it was on YouTube. It is Michael Jaco, and he was on with 107. Juan Juan07. All right, and it's a long listen, but I think it brings a lot of things to light. But I again, I think this is a two-pronged approach, two-pronged attack. Okay. Okay, enjoying smiles and waves. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna look through here for guys you want to things you want to talk about. Okay. Florida teachers have been told if they get the jab, they lose their job. That was one school, Jack. I read that story. Yeah. There's some pretty pointed commentary on this shedding. A little personal story. Last Friday, there was a couple of older women from the church that my wife goes to, and they showed up to take my daughter on a little shopping thing, and I had to ask them, have you done this? And yeah, we did. So they felt all safe and everything. And I said, well, I'm sorry that Rachel's not going to be able to ride in the car with you for hours and hours because she's right in that age where, it's bad. Luann's and Dr. Mikovich, yep. And the other one, I will say it in two words, right? 10 penny. If you find that name, you can find lots of good stuff. Intermittent connection. Oh, that was. Always take flak when you're over the target. People know what flak is. Flak are cannon shells that are fired at high-flying aircraft, and when they explode in the air, the steel that is the case that the shells, it's a steel case. When it explodes, the pieces of metal go out, and it's shrapnel, right? And it's designed. The chunks are big with flak, and so they're designed to hit aircraft. Yeah, Luann, I did hear about shedding weeks ago too, but it was just kind of, it was speculation at the time. We didn't know of anybody that had suffered anything. Everyone is selling fear on both sides of the argument. I think we all would be better served putting energy, time, and focus on things we can change or impact. Well, that was my point. Is there is things that you can do, and if there's two sides of the argument, one of them's right, and one of them's wrong. So, I think it is of paramount importance to err on the side of safety. That's what I would do. I'm not going to just ignore it just so we don't fight and say, well, everybody has their opinion. Well, okay, Jill put it in here. It's www.vimeo.com 543964600. My intel in 107 states, Trump is still the commander in chief. Yeah, that was what 107 said today on that presentation on Michael Jacobs' show. He said that the military hasn't completely bought into the Biden presidency because he doesn't exactly have access to Air Force One. So, okay, well, here's something. Moving pregnant pigs in a trailer to new property. 5 weeks left to farrow. Is that a bad idea? No, 5 weeks is a long time in their life, I think. That's my feeling. I would do it. I think what I would do is I would let them, I'd put the trailer in where they are, like now, and put some bedding in it and let them enjoy it and let them be in there and enjoy it. So when you start rolling down the road, what pigs usually do is they kind of brace themselves and then they lay down. And then they appear to be very calm. And then when you get where you're going, wheel the trailer in and just drop it. Just drop the gangplank or open the door or whatever, and let them get out when they get curious. But whenever you push animals, that seems to stress them out. So I think you'd be okay. 5 weeks. Yeah, that's a long time in the life of a pig. Okay, so the last thing we had on here, is seeding clover around fruit trees a good way to provide nitrogen? Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it sure is. No, the short answer, I believe it is. I really like clover. A couple days ago, I allowed my pigs to go into, well, I showed you last night. And I tell you what, it's a much cleaner environment for them because it's all green and the dirt that's in there is moist, where they were, the dirt was kind of dusty. So when they came, when they came across into the new pen, they didn't look too good. They were dusty, and I don't know. They just don't look that good when they're dusty. It's like a car when it's dusty. And I went out there today, and they're real happy eating all that grass and doing their rooting and stuff, and they looked really good. It really does their bodies well. And I went out there today, and what did I do? Oh, I started getting ready to seed field number 1. So I moved the hut out of there, and I moved it into field number 2. I had to drive over some field peas a little bit to put it in there, but you know, that'll be okay. And so, yeah, I'm going to get in there and seed it. I haven't decided what I'm going to seed it with. I just need to give it a little consideration. I'm going to look through the seeds I have and decide on a nice cool weather crop and see how we can do that. I got a couple options. You know, I could definitely go with rye, but I'm curious to see some of the other things that I have, how they will do. And like I said, the forage radishes just really turned me on. I mean, it's such a cool looking field. It looks like fields that you would see down south with tobacco leaves. Just great big leaves, you know, looks really cool. And they love them. And they love the radishes too. So do I. I like them. Okay, well, we're at 54 minutes. Is there anything? Okay, yep. We need some likes.
Did you see Haven's question about putting chicks out?
David.
Haven.
Haven.
And Adeline asked a big question, topic
Event
question
201.
right next to Haven's question.
I don't see Haven's question at all.
Would you be comfortable with moving 4-week-old chicks out to pasture tomorrow?
Yeah, I would. I'm looking ahead and I'm not seeing any vicious weather. 4 weeks, they're probably 75% feathered out. And at 4 weeks, generally, you don't have the danger of piling near as much as you do when they're 2 weeks or even 3 weeks. I mean, they should be pretty good size. Mine are good. Mine are 4 now, and they're going to go out this week. So yeah, I'm okay with it. You have a lot more trouble and I'm sure you know this by now, Haven. You have a lot more trouble in extreme heat than you do in extreme cold. We've had birds that we've put out super early because when we were doing this before, the idea was to create as many pastured poultries as we possibly could. And so we would already be out and have the brooder reloaded again. And I'd be looking at the weather every night, and then sometimes we'd have to do things to break the wind on them. Yeah. It's early. It's pretty early. Like you don't have too much growing in your garden right now because, you know, you're going to stress it out. One of the things that you have to be careful of with your pastured poultry is if you stress them out, like let's say they're out in their tractors, enclosures, pens, whatever you're calling them these days, and you have a tin roof on there, and let's say you get a hailstorm. Well, get over there fast, because if they stress and they pile, if you can get the pile broken up, you know, you will save lives. But the stress that they went through, you don't see it on their little bodies, but they're stressed out. And when they get stressed out, it's sort of like us. When you get stressed out over something, you'll have digestive issues. And, you know, they're just little babies. They don't know to calm down, calm down. They don't know that. But if they see you spreading them out and just sit with them, get them all back to normal and stuff, and you lower that stress level, you know, it'll work wonders. You would treat them the same as you would a puppy, you know, that has gotten stressed out over something. And of course, sometimes with a puppy, we cause stress in their life, as a training aid. You rub their nose in their piddle, and they get stressed and they don't like it, and so they associate that with peeing on the floor, so they stop doing it. Same thing with kids. I mean, you cause stress in their lives by disciplining them. If you give them the electric prod if they are disrespectful to their mom, and you give them the electric prod, that causes stress in their lives. Okay, cool. Moving. As seeding clover. Oh, I already did that one. Adeline. Purchasing a few acres in a year or two. How do I start to homestead on it? How do I prepare? What things should I learn or know before I do? Okay, well, I think you've made a good step in coming to this chat, because we talk about homesteading stuff most of the time. And I would think that if you spend some time here, you're going to hear processes that people are doing and say, okay, well, I'd like to do that. Some stuff you will say, well, I don't really want to do that. Well, whatever. I thought I wanted to be a big produce guy at one time. I just had this idea. I was, you ever see the cover of a Johnny's magazine? I thought, wow, wouldn't that be great? I could sit out there and overlook that, and I'd just be feeling great about it. Well, when I started doing it, I was overwhelmed all the time, and I decided that no, it's not for me. But then there's, okay, Bryce, he does this, and he's just expanded again. So he's able to stay focused and be able to handle it. It wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. I guess, I don't know. Maybe I had a bunch of other stuff going at the time, and then it was like, well, I should go work out in the market garden. I was like, ugh, I'm exhausted. And then the next day you've got twice as many weeds to deal with, or whatever, And then you got to harvest, and then you got to get it someplace where you can sell it. It's a big deal. But, some people wouldn't want to do the pastured poultry that we're doing. That takes a lot of effort too. Some people wouldn't want to do the chicken processing that we're doing. That's a lot of effort, and it's kind of gross, and, it's a big step. So you have to decide what processes you want to do. And this says in a year or two. So what you want to do now is spend time researching, look at other homesteads, visit other homesteads. Are you close here? Because we have people visit here, and we're able to point out some of the things. Or make a road trip and make an appointment to come and visit with us on a Saturday, and we'll show you around, show you what we do. And then discuss with somebody who's maybe a little bit seasoned. Hey, I'm thinking about raising rainbow ponies. What do you think? And, pay for some consulting. When you get down to the place where you've said, okay, I want this, this, and this, and now I want to talk to somebody who's done this and see what they think. When you pay somebody for consulting, they're going to be brutally honest with you. It's like, well, I've had to, in the past, be honest with people about what, I really don't think you have the capability to do what you think you can do, because you're pretty stoved up over a motorcycle accident that you got in, and they're telling you're not going to walk again. So how are you going to do this? Stuff like this. People, like Dirty Harry said, and I say too, a man has got to know his limitations. You got to know your limitations. And sometimes people have to point those out to you. And I can just hear someone saying, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. If somebody thinks they can do it, well, maybe they can. Oh, really? Let's be real about this. Some things are, we started doing this a long time ago when we were much younger people. I don't know if I could start this all up now. I don't know. Maybe I could. I did think about pulling this operation together and moving it someplace because I was getting a little irritated with the state of Michigan, and I thought about moving someplace else. And when I really started to consider, okay, remodeling another house, building all these new fences, you don't know anybody in the community, you don't have any connections. It's like I don't know if I can pull this off in the time that I have left on this planet. And I don't know if I want to really just work hard the rest of my life. I'd like to take a few afternoons off to go out in the rowboat and catch some fish. I would like to do that. So, you got to know your limitations on this. So that's one of the things. I think that another thing that I recommend people do is, let's say that you decide you want to have a really nice garden, and your goal is to grow as much as you can, and then you're going to take it a step further, and you're going to can a lot of stuff, or you're going to freeze a lot of stuff, or you're going to preserve a lot of stuff, you're going to ferment a lot of stuff. Well, now is the time to get your canning jars, right? Now is the time to get the books on fermenting vegetables and familiarize yourself with it. So when all of a sudden you have all this really nice cabbage, now you got to go find a book on how to, no. Get the information first so it's clear in your mind. And you can even now, if you're not getting your land for a couple of years, you can do business with guys that do have the land and do raise really nice cabbage, and buy cabbage from them and then ferment it, because I'm sure you have a kitchen at least where you're at, and get that process down. And you may, I think in the community that I live in, we have a lot of room for people to do things that are a little off the beaten path. Adeline, if you're, let's say Adeline Marie Robinson turns back on. What? Let's say that you already have some training in the kitchen, and you like working in the kitchen. And let's say you have no training outside, no gardening experience. Well, maybe the focus could be on putting together a little process to where you go to farmers like a Bryce Mosher, and you go over there, Addy, okay. You go over there and you buy one of his CSA shares, and then or let's say you buy 2 of them or 4 of them, let's say, and you're bringing all that produce to your place, and then you're canning some of it, freezing some of it, fermenting some of it, drying some of it, you name it, all those processes that are involved with preserving produce, you become the expert at that. So you don't actually farm, but you do this process. Well, if I was a produce guy, I bet you I would make a deal with you, and I'd say, hey, I'll give you a share for, if I get some of this product back that I can put on the shelf in my pantry, because we're working so darn hard. We don't have time to do any of that stuff. But I'd really like to eat my own stuff. So I'll give you 2 shares, so long as I get 1 share back in, processed stuff. I'd work a deal like that. I would do that. We happen to be in the chicken processing business too, and it was nothing that we really wanted to do. It's just that it was there. The door opened and we walked through. Yeah, bar, right. And you're bartering your expertise and your your propane and your consumables, your salts and your sugars and spices and stuff like that. Man, a good pickle maker, wow. Or a good kimchi maker, sauerkraut maker. I tell you what, I think that I tried to get my daughter to do this. But of course, anything I say is probably the wrong way to go. But just think if you had a room that was this size. This is what? 14 by 10, 12. 16 by 12, 16 by 12 room. And you did some contracting with somebody or you did something and you had a bunch of shelves put up on one wall. And then you had it attached maybe to your kitchen or not. It could be in your garage or something like that. And you just created a store, right? It's a storeroom. It's just a room where you store stuff. And then you do the calculation on, well, these pickles, I want X amount for these pickles. That pays for the jar and that pays for my time and the product that's in it. And I think you could get, I think you could get a fair price for really nice pickles. And you could have all kinds of different ones. You could have salsas. You could have just green beans in a can. You could have, the list goes on and on and on. You could do canned meats, canned chicken. You could do, well, I can't think of, but there's a lot of things. You could do hard-boiled eggs in salt water. I love them. I love them. On and on and on. You could be running. Let's say you ran your kitchen, your little. It wouldn't be a commercial kitchen. It would be just your kitchen. Let's say you ran a 4-hour shift in there 5 days a week. I wonder how much you could generate, and you would be spending the rest of the day in your car going to this farm, and then you would be the connoisseur of farms, and you would show up at a farm and say, well, what do you got? And if it's something that you think you can make something out of, you get it home, you get it processed, and then it's on the shelf. And then you do like we do. You start yourself up a database of people who would rather buy from you than they would care to buy from the store. If I had somebody like that around me, I would be your biggest customer. Why? Because I want you in business. I want you to be there when I need food for my family. When we don't have, Jill's strapped. She doesn't have time to curl her hair. Never mind all the canning and the pickling and all that stuff. They do it, but I wouldn't mind if somebody else did it and we just swapped with them for something. We'd swap your chickens because we're already doing that. We'd swap your beef for it because that's what we do. So there's room for somebody like that. I really believe that. And I think it would be a tremendous, addition to a community of people. And when you want to talk about any kind of regulations or anything like that, we can discuss that. But your store or your storeroom, it wouldn't be like it would be have blinking lights on it and be open to the public. Your database would be your friends and their friends, your friends and associates. Of course, the way we do it, I'm doing business with my friends, right? If we get somebody that we do business with and then they kick my dog on the way out. Well, they're not my friend, and I'm not doing business with them anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that they have to heap praises on me or anything like that. I'm just saying if we're friends and we're doing business, I do business with people. Some people give me vegetables for my services. Some people give me dollars for my services. Some people give me piano lessons for my kids for my services. I think. I think that's what we're doing. We have a lady that gave us senior pictures for some of our products, right? So I prefer to deal in other than dollars when I can. I really do. Because whenever I use their dollars, I'm supposed to, just for using their dollars, I'm supposed to pay them some of it, right? So I just would rather not do that. And there's nothing that says I have to, right? So, all right. Was there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Because I'm going to end it. I got things to do tonight. Barter equals energy exchange, higher frequency, hundredth monkey. We create our own earth. Scott Bartholomew. I would trade some of my steaks for some good pickles. I agree. Focus on what you're good at. I am good at growing grass till fro cows, not making pickles. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Growing grass, that's an easy one. We have vegetables and honey stands everywhere here. Yeah, where are you, Addie? Where are you? Canned venison is great. Right on, man. Oh, I love that. Buffalo Patriot. Buffalo Patriot's been around a long time. Clarified butter. Yep, you can can meat. For sure you can can meat. Actually, canned meat is really very good. Like if you've got lesser cuts of beef, we always can some of it. It's just it's quick, the way Jill does it. I don't know exactly how it's done. I just know that we chunk it up, goes in the jar. I think there's a teaspoon of salt goes in there and clove of garlic or something maybe. I'm not really sure. And then it goes in the canner. And then when the canner is ready, they come out, go on the counter, and then they go boop, and they're sealed. And you put a ring on them. Yeah, and then when you pull that stuff to eat it, man alive, you have that beef and scrambled eggs. It's good eating. All right. Yeah. Somebody put Event 201 up. That's cool. It's worth looking into, you guys. All right. I'm going to close her down. Appreciate everybody coming by. Let's get out there and do some farming this weekend. Get your preps up. Try to be situationally aware. Try to figure out what's going on around you. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. And we will see you Monday. All right. Good night.